Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about areas of triangles, trapezoids, and kites. So, in the last lesson we talked about rectangles and parallelograms, and we had the formula A equals BH for the area. A stood for area, B was the base length, and H was the height of the rectangle, okay, or parallelogram. We're going to use that to find the areas of any triangles now. Now, here's the deal. Let's start with a right triangle. If I take any right triangle, I could stretch this out like this. I call this rectangulating a triangle. Now, if this is a rectangle, this would be the base right here, right? And this would be the height over here. And then the area of this whole thing, the whole rectangle, would be base times height. But if you notice here, this triangle and this triangle are exactly identical, so that if I take this and just eliminate this, the part that's left, the triangle, is half of the rectangle. So my formula here would be half the base times the height. And that's going to work for any right triangle. Okay, I should have a 90-degree angle right there. Okay. Now, the thing is, will that work for any triangle? Well, here we go. Here we rectangulate it, and we get the formula right down here. Okay. So this will work for any triangle, not just right triangles. So take a look right here. If I take triangle QRS, and what I can do is I can rectangulate it like this. Okay, here's my base. Okay, here's my height right here, which is the same as this right here. Okay. And then if I do this, you can see, oh, this triangle and this triangle are identical, and this triangle and this triangle are identical. Okay, so that's what we got right here. So again, if I chop this part off and this part off, and I'm left with just this triangle right here, I again get half the base times the height. Okay, now let's look at trapezoid. JKLM is a trapezoid. Now remember, a trapezoid has two bases. It's got a base, the two parallel sides are both bases. The height is the perpendicular distance between those two parallel lines. Okay, and we can go ahead and put those on there to denote that they're parallel. Okay, so here's what I can do with this. I can take this this trapezoid right here, and I can go halfway between here and this point right here, and I just make a line up that goes like this and goes across here. Okay, and I get this little triangle right here that I can cut off, and I can move it right up there like that. And it will fit perfectly in there. And the same thing here. If I go halfway between here and this spot right here, which is directly below K, I can cut off this little triangle, take that and flip it up there, and it'll fit in there, and I've made a rectangle again. Now remember, the area of a rectangle is half the base times the height. So here's the height. That stays the same. Now the base is a little tricky, because it's neither one of these two bases. But what it is it's the average of these two, okay? Because I cut this off here, and I moved it up here, and I cut this off here, and I moved it up here. Basically what I did was this distance right here is the average of this distance from M to L and J to K. Okay, how do you find the average of two numbers? You add them together and you divide by 2. Okay, so we end up getting a formula. We start out with the rectangle, okay, and then the height stays the same, but I average the bases, so I take B1 plus B2, and then I take half of that, and this gives me my formula right here for the area of a trapezoid. Okay, so you'll want to be able to use that formula. Okay, what about a kite? So here I have a kite. The only thing that's missing is that should be a 90-degree angle right there. Okay, and then this should be, there we go. Now it's a kite for sure. Okay, so how do you do a kite? Well, I could take this kite and I could rectangulate that. I could draw a rectangle right around this thing, just like that. Okay, now the area of the rectangle, the green dotted rectangle, would be the base down here times the height over here. Okay, except that this triangle and that triangle are identical, this triangle and that triangle are identical, this triangle and this triangle are identical, and this triangle and this triangle are identical. So if I cut off these triangles out here, I have basically taken half of the base times the height. Okay, now here's the thing. A kite doesn't have a base, okay, but it does have a diagonal. This distance across here, we call this diagonal 1, is the same as what the base would be, and this diagonal here, which we'll call diagonal 2, is the same as this over here, which would be the height. Okay, so I'm going to come up with a formula. Area is going to be half of diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Pretty easy. Okay, find the area of the following figures. All right, so we've got a bunch of formulas. We've got a triangle area formula. We've got a trapezoid area formula. We've got a kite area formula. Okay, so I'm going to let you pause the video right here, try to figure out the answer to this, and then you can jump back on and see how I did it. Okay, so this is a triangle right here, so we're going to use the formula half the base times the height. Okay, now I have to figure out which side to use for the base. I'm going to use the base that goes with the height. Here's my height over here because it goes from a corner to a 90-degree angle. Now, even though it's outside, it's still the altitude of the triangle, and it's still my height. Okay, so half of the base times 12. This is my height. That means this is my base. Now, not this part, just this part right here. So my base is going to be 17. I'm going to put that in right there. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and calculate that. 0.5 times 17 times 12. That's going to be 102. So the area is 102. Now, I don't have any units on here, so it's just going to be square units. Okay. Here's another shape for you. Here's a kite. Okay, I'm going to let you pause the video here and figure out the area, then jump back on and see how you did. Okay, so a kite, remember we said the area was 1/2 of diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So diagonal 1 is going to be this distance right here. Now, remember that a kite, this is a 90-degree angle, and these two have to be equal because this is a line of symmetry right here. So one diagonal is going to be 3 plus 3 or 6. The other diagonal is going to be 4 plus 13. That's going to be 17. So half of 6 is 3, and 3 times 17 is 51. Again, I don't have units, so I'm just going to put units squared. Okay. I'm going to let you pause the video here and do this one, and then jump back on and see how you did as well. Okay, so my formula is 1/2 the height times base 1 plus base 2. So my height is right here, it's 24. base 1 is up here, that's 23. And base 2 is down here, that's 37. Okay, so this is 60. Half of 60 is 30. 30 times 24, that's going to be what, 720? Let's double check. 30 times 24, 720, yep. And that's going to be units squared because it's area. Okay, so hopefully you got all 3 of those correct. And here's an assignment for you to do. Have fun with that. I will talk to you guys later.